you have been a referee at Knox now for 11 years. You started in 2009. Can you just tell us a little bit, I guess, about how you found yourself in one of our referee schools, and what brought you to become a referee?
Yeah, mate. 2009 seems so far gone now. I was playing domestic at the time with Southeast Eagles, and was in a team with one Matt Rosley, who was pretty keen on joining the referee school, and dragged me down with him. To be honest, mate, wasn't overly keen. Sort of got roped into it, I think, at the stage, were my thoughts. In the end, thought it might be good for a bit of cash, make some friends whilst going through high school. So yeah, end of 2009, I think, November was the course. I think the only one left from the course is Adam Shee, so it's just me and Ads left, and maybe Ash Reed, but I can't quite remember. So yeah, 11 years, and there's 2 of us left, and we're going pretty strong. So yeah, I guess
Very good.
It was great to start. Yeah.
How did you go through the actual course? Like, how did you find the course, and were you one of the early bloomers, or did you take your time a little bit?
I definitely took my time, mate. I was one of the last people in the school to get it, so maybe slow and steady wins the race. I'm not too sure. But mate, I think being involved in basketball prior to joining the school was a big advantage. Played rep for probably only 2 or so years before starting the school, but that certainly gives you a good perspective on what happens on the floor. And then when the late and great Anthony Alsabrook is talking about, stuff to do with refereeing, it sort of clicks from a playing point of view as well. So the two definitely interact. But yeah, certainly didn't zoom through it, mate. Took my time, which has proved to be worthwhile in the end.
No worries. And so, mate, we've got a couple of people on the call tonight who are either C-grade referees, and in fact, there were a couple of people who asked for an invite to tonight's meeting who are still trying to get their C-grade. So can you share with the group, I guess, once you got your C-grade, what did the next 12 months look like? How did you progress, and sort of what did you focus on to move through the ranks?
Yeah, mate. So the 12 months for me were, I really only stuck to Saturday mornings. I was playing under 16 so sort of free break 1 on a Saturday morning was my go for a fair while. And it was probably that full 12 months where I only did Saturdays. So it was sort of a slow but steady progression. But for the guys coming through now, I'd say that the opportunities are there to branch out onto the Sunday nights and to the senior stuff on the weeknights, and that's where you find your progression, and that's where you really make the big steps. Probably something I do regret a little bit is just sticking to Saturdays only. It probably held me back a little bit. But I guess the positive is that you've got plenty of time to find your feet. So there are always positives and negatives with that.
Yeah, and so if you had your time again, would you do things a little bit differently?
Yeah, mate. I'd certainly, after the first couple of months, I probably would have reached out to a Megan, an Ian, a Brad, and said, hey, can I get a bit of development on a weeknight? I'm finding Saturdays to be going well, and I just want to stick my hand up and challenge myself a bit more.
Yeah. And so how long did it take you to get your B grade?
Probably at least 18 months, if not 2 years, I think.
Yeah. And what, mate, what do you see? Like I said, there's C-grade referees who are on the call tonight. What is it that you did specifically from the point where you got your C-grade through to moving through to get your B grade? Can you talk to us maybe about some tactics that people may be able to use other than going to the supervisor and saying, hey, can you give us some help? or can you chuck me on your roster? Is there anything else that you might be able to share and maybe talk to us about some of the opportunities that you got?
Yeah, mate. I think a big one is self-reflection. I always found that when you really make a big mistake that really hits you hard, you write it down and you find out why you made it and what you can do better next time. And for me, that was something where I thought, geez, I don't want to write this down twice. So when I learn something or when a situation pops up and I didn't handle it so well, finding out how to improve on it and do the right thing next time was definitely a key learning. And that's not only a self-reflection, it's getting other referees, getting the supervisor, getting your mates, getting your parents, getting anyone to watch a game that knows anything about basketball. And you'll find pretty quickly that people can see the flaws in what you're doing, that those flaws turn into opportunities to improve. So that's a big one for me, identifying what's wrong and then putting the steps in place to correct it.
Okay. So, mate, if I said to you, what are the key points to focus on as a B grade referee who wants to obviously move on to get their A grade? Can you share some wisdom with us about how you navigated from being sort of that mid tier to getting your A grade?
Yeah, sure, mate. That was a slow process as well. It was probably again another 2 years to sort of be looked at for my A grade. So that's where I think you really need to, as a B grade, step up and go, I need to be doing well in men's games. I need to be doing the weeknights. I need to be doing some better games on Saturdays so that I know I've been identified as someone with a little bit of talent. And then it's probably about nurturing those skills for another 12 months at least, because that's the minimum time between B and A. Hindsight's a wonderful thing. I would say now, so when I supervise on a Tuesday, I say to all my B grades, hey, look, this is how it works. You need to impress multiple people across multiple sessions to have your name thrown in the hat for the A grade school. So you got to do the right things sort of through a few avenues. I probably wasn't too privy to that coming through as a B grade. So that probably attributes to the slow progression there. But mate, skills that I think we need to look for in the B grades and A grades coming through. Again, hindsight's beautiful. The leadership skills, being the crew chief on a Saturday in sort of 12s and 14 A grade games is probably a really great step. Sort of those middle tier men's games on your weeknights. They're the things that you want to be aiming for as a B grade, I think, before you look towards that A grade stuff.
Mate, how can you utilise the guys you're reffing with to help you progress?
Feedback, mate. Feedback's the number one. Your mate at the other end of the floor has the second best view. With you being the first best, the other guy down the other end probably sees exactly what's happened in a lot of the situations. So those timeouts, those half times, the post-game chats, they're huge. And both the referees on the floor are trying to do the same thing. The goals are very similar. You want to be consistent with each other to achieve the outcome. So bouncing ideas off each other throughout the game and post-game, that's a massive help.
Okay. So what about when you get feedback that you don't necessarily want to hear? How do you, as a B grade referee, a lot of the guys here tonight will be paired up with maybe someone a little bit more senior. How do you deal with some feedback that you may not agree with or may have a different view to?
Yeah, okay. Well, mate, you got to treat it as professional or developmental feedback rather than someone having a personal crack at you. It can't always be treated as negative feedback. It's got to be constructive. So just because someone tells you that you are in the wrong position, it doesn't need to upset you, but what it does is it needs to help you find out why I was there and where I need to be so it doesn't happen again. It's like that self-reflection I touched on earlier. you got to learn from everything. So I don't think of anything as negative feedback. I always think of it as constructive. And mate, the second part is probably you've got to have trust in what the other person's saying. As you mentioned, if it's a B grade refereeing with an A grade referee, as the B grade, you've got to put your hat on and go, this person's been through the A grade school. There's a heightened level of knowledge there. And I've got to trust my mate that they're giving me the right direction and the right advice to move forward.
Excellent. Now, I've just got a question come through from Megan Ryan. Megan, are you there? Or Megan She?
Oh, sorry. Yes, hello.
Hi. Megan, you got a question?
Yeah. Cam, what were your goals as you progressed? So as a C grade and then as a B grade, did you have short-term goals, and how did they help you progress to where you are today?
Great question, Meg. Thanks. And how you going? Yeah, look, it was probably something that I like to write down. I think as a C grade, you go in sort of to the great unknown. You pass the course and you're sort of thrown onto the floor by yourself after having trained alongside someone. So for me, the goals when I was a C grade were to just feel comfortable on the floor, find my feet, find my own, rock up to the session being really confident that I was trusting in what I was doing. And then obviously the back end of that is being recognised and awarded your B grade. Then obviously your B grade goals, and I think you'll find most of the B grade guys on the call and the ones you talk to certainly on a Wednesday night, Meg, and for me on a Tuesday, their goal is A grade school, and they're really focused on that now. Probably stems from some good culture. I think all of us that go through it, we like to give back, and we supervise these guys that were in our position 5-6 years ago, and we tell them what it's like to be an A grade and how much fun the school is, and you get to jump onto 3PO. So I think a lot of my goals as a B grade wanting to get to the A grade were based on the people I looked up to, and sort of wanted to follow in their footsteps.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for the question, Megan. Anything else, or is that cool?
I was gonna ask another one. Sorry to bombard. Did you have any setbacks as you were progressing, and how did you deal with them as you went along?
Brad's having some setbacks with his beard by the looks of it. Can you maybe get him a razor? That's come from Ian Knight, by the way.
Another good question, Meg. Major setbacks, probably nothing major. I think as sort of your 15, 16-year-old coming through as a B grade, the tougher men's games sort of turn into a bit of a butchering and blow up a little bit. I think they're tiny little short-term setbacks because you walk away and you go, crap, that was really hard. I sort of don't want to referee those guys again. But they're the little things that make you better at the end. I guess that one barrier that I think sort of certainly halted my progression was being too focused on playing. And everyone's different. People like to play as their number one priority and ref on the side, and others like to make refereeing number one and put playing on the side. And it probably wasn't until I got to the A grade school where I went, yep, refereeing is probably for me. I'm an okay player. But there's a fair bit of potential in reffing to go places within basketball that the really good players do as well. So for me, that was probably a slight barrier, but certainly not a massive setback.
Well, I'd have to say, Cameron, given you were being schooled by your younger sister in the backyard playing one-on-one, you made the right decision to referee instead of play, mate.
No, she doesn't miss.
I've seen her play and refereed her. We've got a question that's come through from Ella. Ella, did you want to ask the question? Sorry,
Sure.
Ella, I've taken you off mute so you can speak now.
Okay. Just like a random question, what referee level did you give your first technical?
It was definitely at some stage in my C grade, Ella. It wasn't early on. I would say probably sort of between 9 and 12 months, I reckon, was my first tech foul, and it was on a Wednesday night. I think Brad would have been supervising. Bit of a blow up and had some technical fouls and unsportsmanlikes. And being the first time that it had happened to me whilst refereeing, I'd obviously seen it on other people's games and whilst playing and whatnot. But your first one's always memorable. And I think I ended up in tribunal, actually. So thanks, Brad, for putting me on that one.
And Ella had a second part to her question.
Yeah,
do you wanna
which
answer the
was
question?
sure. Refereeing like higher up with higher levels that you're at now, how did you have the confidence to ref those kind of games?
Yeah, good question again. I think it's something that just grows over time. And yourself being at sort of that C grade into B grade stage, you'll find that your confidence grows, Ella. As I was back then, very nervous and very unsteady in the early days, but that's something that grows over time. And now for me, 11 years in, and the other guys on the call that have been around for a while, there's not too many games now where you're super nervous. A lot of your sort of preparation and sort of mental preparation going into a game is about being confident and trusting in what you're doing. So it's definitely something that develops over time.
I might have to have a chat to you, mate, because I still get nervous before every game I referee, so I might have to get some tips from you.
That's because you're on TV. I'm not on TV yet.
Mate, there's a question that's come through here from Jade. This one is about motivation. So, Jade, I've taken you off. I've taken you off mute. So, if you'd like to ask the question.
Yeah, sure. I was just wondering, throughout the 11 years that you have been reffing, did you go through stages where you felt like, oh, maybe this isn't for me, or just in general lost some motivation? And how did you get through that?
I've never lost motivation. I think being a basketball kind of guy from a pretty basketball focused family, I've always had the love for the game. So I don't think I've ever lost motivation, so to speak. It's definitely challenging times. Like I touched on earlier, those tough games that blow up and knock you back a peg. That's definitely something that it can sort of stunt your progression, I guess. And then the other obvious ones are when you're sort of moving through the panels and you don't get ranked where you want to be, or you don't get picked for the final, or whatever it may be. They're the challenging points.
Yeah.
In terms of motivation, I've never lost it.
Yeah. I think I thought of that when you said that it potentially took you up to 2 years to get your C grade. Was that just because you were you were more interested in playing, or was it just random?
Yeah. So for me on a Saturday morning, it was just get in, have a run around, do my 3 or 4, and then have a break before playing in the afternoon. I sort of wasn't aware of the sort of the pathways that it could take you. So for me, it was just as a 14 or 15-year-old having a run around. And hindsight's a beautiful thing, obviously, and you look back now and you go, I could have put more focus early into it, which I think the supervisors do a really good job of now, instilling that mindset into the guys now. But for me, it was playing number 1 and reffing number 2 early on.
Thanks, Cam.
All good. You're on mute, Daniel.
Sorry, I've unmuted Diane. Thank you for letting me know what I'm doing here. I appreciate it. Diane has a question for you. So over to you, Diane.
I thought I was the one that lost out.
No, it's me.
So just to add to what Jade was asking, how are you staying motivated to exercise and actually stay interested in reffing at the moment, whilst we're not actually able to go to a stadium or be involved as we usually are?
Yeah, good question, and really relevant given the current environment. My motivation to stay fit is that I don't want to be left behind when basketball goes back. You don't want to fall behind the pack, especially when you're doing your junior panel and big V stuff, Diane. people, there's really, really motivated people who will do anything and everything to get to the top of the pecking order. So staying fit is something that we can control, sort of in amongst this environment where we don't have a lot of control of other things. So that's where it stands for me, just staying fit and strong, ready to go and flick the switch when it comes back. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks, Diane. We've got a question that's come through from Ian. So, Ian, you're off mute now.
Thank you, DB. I thought I might actually offer something half sensible to this conversation.
Good. I was going to say before you start, mate, the fact that I can mute you and unmute you whenever I feel like, this is just something I wish I had have thought of 20 years ago. This is fantastic.
Don't get too used to it, mate. I'll move in next door to you.
Very good. Over to you.
All righty, Cam. You spoke about young referees needing to test themselves on men's games, but often they can come unstuck on a tough women's game. What do you think the difference is with how to handle a tough women's game versus a tough men's game?
Yeah, good call, mate. Good call. I just think they have different elements. As we know, and we've been there and done that with those tough women's games. I think they're the ones that you can control with the whistle a lot more and sort of put an end to the poor behaviour. That's the number one thing that I find anyway. When I jump down and do a Foster's Phantoms or one of those teams, the element of control is there. Whereas I think on a men's game, it's a more consistent challenge with bigger bodies. I find a lot more back chat and probably a lot more chatter between the players, not just directed back towards us. So that's why I sort of always go to the challenging men's games to test my guys. And again, it's probably a bit different sort of, I don't know, from a rostering point of view, I don't have women's. I do have the challenging mixed games, which I throw those, yes, head wobble, which I throw those B grade guys on every now and then just to freshen up those sort of player management skills, disciplinary skills.
Lovely. Thanks, Ian, for the question. Cam, can you just talk to us? There are some people who are not sure about what happens once you get your A grade, and sort of the opportunities that then unlocks. Can you talk to us just really quickly about the steps to go from being an A grade referee and doing some of those tough games to then moving on to junior panel?
Yeah, cool. The requirement is obviously that you have 12 months on your A grade before you can be nominated for your junior panel. And I think those 12 months are really key because you want to become super confident on your 14 A boys, 16 A boys, 19s and 23s on a Sunday. And being the A grade, you get that exposure to your 3PO stuff as well on your Sunday nights and your men's 1 week nights. So that 12 months is crucial because you want to develop those skills and really hone them in before you step on the junior panel scene. And obviously, the domestic level, you have to provide some pretty consistent reffing and be identified as someone who can take that next step. Working on things like court presence, big voice, leadership skills on the floor, and just your general confidence. I think that's what's involved in the 12 months. And getting nominated for junior panel is obviously a huge pat on the back and a big stepping stone to the next level. So doing all those right things between the 2 steps is massive.
Wonderful. And mate, getting on junior panel, what have been the highlights? What have you loved the most?
Oh, mate, I think the first thing is just getting to wear a new shirt, to be honest. The sort of emotion and reward attached to that is that, hey, I've made it to the next level. I can now wear a grey shirt or a blue sleeve, black and white, or whatever they choose for the year. And I think it sets you apart. And it's not something to be arrogant about, but it's something to be proud of, that when you rock rock up to Bronia on a Friday night and you get to throw the panel shirt on, and the B grades and the C grades that are aspiring to be like that, they get to have a look at what you do at the next step up. But I think that's probably the first highlight, mate. And then you can go into your appointments to classics and finals at the end of the VJBL season. They're obviously the big ones, because it's that reward for effort for the 12 months prior. I know for me, I was really lucky to cop an invite for the 14s Classic at Dandenong back in 2015 or 16. And like I said, mate, that's a reward for effort and certainly a highlight. You get to run around with a different group of people for a weekend and do some interstate teams that you've never seen before, do some of those VC teams that you might not have come across throughout the season, and just be exposed to that level of referee coaching where it's not just the supervisors and A grades at Knox giving you feedback. It's really top-end accredited people from the other branches across Victoria that come down and do a full game analysis with video clips and a post-game follow-up. And so for me, those type of things are the highlights and the reward once you get to junior panel.
Now, I have had a question come through. You talked about junior panel and the fact you got a new shirt. Was it your first opportunity to have a shirt tailored, or did you just get the really extra small one straight up?
Mate, yeah. Stuck with the medium with a little bit of give in it for the first couple of years, and then saw what the big boys were doing and thought we better follow on with that. And now
very good.
Bernie's taken a nice liking to it, so he's jumped on the bandwagon.
Very good. Cal had to find one that he could actually get his head through the little bit. He had to have the neck tailored. Hey, mate, can you tell us, obviously, so you've talked about junior panel, you've talked about the classic being really important in your development. Can you talk to us, I guess, about what happens then, what happens when you've performed really well on junior panel, what opportunities does that lead to? And I guess, obviously leading into Big V, what is the standard of game like? Is it much harder? And just your views.
Yeah. So from my point of view, mate, the jump is the big difference. You go from junior basketball doing, well, I mean, you've presumably only done 1 year on junior panel, so you've probably done majority of 12s and 14s and probably dabbled in a bit of 16s. So moving from that to senior basketball at a representative level is probably the big noticeable jump. And it's not just that, it's things like having to travel an hour for a game on a Saturday night during the middle of winter. It's bloody cold. And if you don't buy a jacket at the start of the season, you're kicking yourself. But again, mate, it's like junior panel. You get to be exposed to different clubs, different referees that you've probably never met or seen before, different referee coaches, and just the whole step up forces you to be better. You can't get away with sort of just going about your business on a Big V game. You need to enhance those skills, your core presentation, your voice, your confidence, the way that the players, coaches, and crowd perceives what you're doing. It's a big step up, mate. Yeah.
Very good. So obviously you've worked really hard. You've done well on junior panel. You've done well on Big V, and this year, had we have played, you were under consideration to be looked at for a potential promotion onto NBL 1. What are some of the highlights and I guess the achievements that you've had in your time doing the elite games?
Yeah, mate. Look, I think firstly it starts with consistent approach and work ethic. You probably don't have the opportunity to experience the highlights if you don't work hard first. That would be my message there. You've got to create your own potential and opportunities. Junior panel highlights don't want to wobble the head too much, but grand final sort of every year since I've started, which has been nice. And I've been lucky to do couple of those with Sam and 18 boys with. That is a wobble. You're right.
Sorry.
Probably the big Friday night highlight was doing the 16 boys BC grand final with Sam Vigiva 2 years ago, and then last year getting the chance to do the 18 girls gold medal game on the Friday night was good. Sort of staying in line with junior panel, you've got your classics. So I've been to a handful of those. And they're as much an opportunity and a way to learn as they are a highlight. Weekend long tournament, interstate referees as well, which is another element where you go, oh, crikey, just when I thought I'd met everyone on a Friday night, here's 6 blokes from Adelaide trying to take my spot on the big games. But that comes with sort of the extra exposure to what they do and how they can help you. And then you get really great referee coaches from interstate like Chris Clark you're aware of and Jared Cresp and guys like that who come down and help you out. Then I guess, mate, Big V sort of feels like junior panel on steroids when you start looking at the highlights there. So travelling an hour to do, Big V semi-final series. I was lucky enough last season to get my first ever grand final series on Big V. So I did the Division 1 women's grand final series, which included going up to Mildura for week 1 with Dave Pretty, who's on the call. Dave, that was good fun, mate. So that's definitely a highlight and something that you don't really get the chance to do if you don't work hard in the first place. So I think they're the things that we want to be educating our sort of A grades and junior panel guys on, hey, this is the pathway. Look how much fun you can have along the ride. And mate, probably the last thing that I've really enjoyed as a highlight is actually jumping on a flight to go and do a game, which I know for you is something you do every weekend, so you won't get it. But for everyone else, mate, jumping on a flight and heading up to Mildura for a semi-final was pretty darn cool. So that's probably one of the big highlights for me.
Wonderful. I think, mate, old mate Jaden Simpson, he may have a question for you. So I'm going to unmute Jaden. For some reason, it's not letting me unmute him. That's a shame. Hang on, unmute. No, I'll work it out. I'll have to come back to you. Sorry, Jaden. Mate, can you just tell us, there's obviously a couple of people here who would have no idea what a national championships is or what it means. Can you just explain for everyone what a national champs is and how you got there?
Yeah, mate, can do. Well, when you talk about opportunities and highlights, that's probably the peak for anyone who's really committed to their junior panel and Big V. Obviously, the opportunity to be nominated comes about with the sort of years of hard work and being really consistent. Obviously, there's only a select few people per state that get to have a crack. So doing the right thing for a couple of years on end exposes you to have that opportunity. I've been lucky enough to go to 14s 3 years ago in Shepparton. 2 years ago in Shepparton, and did the schools most recently, both of which were super fun. And it's like the classics, mate. It's sort of that really high demand, day in, day out sort of type of refereeing. Not a lot of recovery time, mentally switched on 24/7. So it's a whole different ball game. And you're talking about some really top end players and coaches from all over the country that fly in to try and win it all. So it's a high pressure environment where after a couple of years of hard work, you're expected to perform at a pretty good level and not stuff it up. So that's probably the best insight I can give, is that it's sort of created by a couple of years of hard work, and then the reward is getting there. That's sort of pathway there, and then when you get there, it's sort of a high pressure cooker situation where if you do apply yourself and you do want to work hard, you'll come out of it a much better referee. And I know Sam Vergeeva's not on the call, but that guy seems to walk away with gold after gold when he goes. So that's probably the ultimate, mate. I've not been lucky enough to get a gold medal, but that's always the top goal. Would have been nice to go to 18s this year in Ballarat, but obviously Mr. COVID-19 ruined that for us.
Yeah.
But hopefully that opportunity presents itself in the coming future.
No worries. And I just thought I'd point out to you, and this may come as a revelation for the people who are on the call tonight. Sam Vergeeva's name is actually Sam Vergeeva. I just wanted to let you know that. So if you get the pronunciation correct for future reference, we have been calling him by his wrong name for the last 10 years, and I only found that out about 6 months ago. So now the question I have got, Jaden has sent it through to me. You pronounce it to me as the way we say it. Yeah, I'm not sure why he does that, to be honest, Rani. He does it, I think, because he doesn't want to point out to people that we're saying his name incorrectly. But I can guarantee you, if you call his phone, his voicemail even says, "You've called Sam Vergeeva." So maybe everyone at the end of this call can give him a buzz. So we'll test it out. The question that's come through from Jaden Simpson is, Cameron, where do you see yourself in 12 months, and then where do you see yourself in 2 years from a refereeing perspective?
Yeah, obviously the goalposts have changed a little bit on that one, Jaden. Sort of 6 months ago, I had my eyes set on the NBL1 development path, like Daniel touched on. Sort of got identified as part of the next group that could have a crack at the pre-season. So that would have been my 12-month goal, mate. Would be to perform well in the pre-season and hopefully get the chance to do a game throughout the season. So obviously that's being pushed back in a pretty big way. So that sort of becomes my next 12 months now, I guess. And then a goal for sort of 2 years and beyond would be to sort of establish myself on that NBL1 panel and be appointed and be part of the roster fairly consistently, week to week. And it's just about building from there. But I'll take it small steps at a time now. It's sort of getting to the pointy end, I guess. Certainly my exposure to refereeing, it's a pointy end for me. So I think smaller steps along the way is where I'm looking right now.
No probs. Cal has asked, when can we expect your next TikTok with a trick shot video? We've all been hanging out for it. Where is it?
Might be a weekend job, I think, Cal. Stay tuned on sort of Sunday Arvo, mate. You might see something pop up.
Very good. Mate, I've got one final question for you. For, I guess, everybody on the call tonight is at different stages in their refereeing career. Some people are trying to get their C grade. Some people are trying to advance into, B and A and then onto elite basketball. Can you maybe share with us for each, I guess, for everyone's benefit, what are the key things that people can focus on to improve their game when basketball's back?
Yeah, mate. I think no matter what level you're at, you've got to turn up to each session with a purpose. I don't think you can, or for me anyway, I don't think you can rock up and just want to go through the motions. I think you've got to turn up with the want and the desire to walk out into the car park a better referee than you walked in. So for me, the want to learn and the want to improve is where it's got to start. And then the flow-on effects of that are obviously giving it 100% every time you're on the floor, seeking that feedback from your peers, being your referee at the other end of the court, your supervisors, your referees on break who come around and watch your game to kill their 45 minutes. They're sort of the things that I would be looking at, mate. And probably the other thing is off the court, you want to be a role model. You want to be doing the right things because you don't want to be identified for the wrong reasons. And I've certainly seen a lot of it sort of been on my 4th or 5th year now of supervising, is that if you want to be noticed and you want to be sort of push through, you don't want to be noticed for the wrong reasons. So sort of put your best foot forward when you're in the ref room on your breaks or before or after your session. Have fun with your mates, but don't carry on like a clown and draw attention to yourself. I think you've always got to be focused when you're in your uniform, and that extends to off the court. It's not just the sort of 40 minutes or 34 minutes or whatever game it is on the court. You got to be a role model and be a leader, because if you want to clown around and be a jokester, that's all well and good. But at the end of the day, the people that make the big jumps and the big leaps, those ones that can stand up amongst the peers and really be a leader and that person that everyone looks up to. I think that translates to the way you perform on the floor as well.
Thanks, Cam. Now, Leah Cross has taken herself off mute a couple of times, and she's been sending me photographs of my head. So, Leah, I believe you have a question you'd like to ask.
I don't have a question.
You just messaged me and said, I'd like to be taken off mute. I want an excuse to talk.
No, I don't have a question. I just wanted to say hi.
Hi, Leah. It's great to see you.
Hi. Yeah.
I've muted her. Cameron, obviously, she didn't listen to the part about don't be a jokester and don't muck around. So hopefully Leah takes something from this catch-up today. Mate, I just encourage if anyone on at the moment has a question to flick it through now while I do a bit of a wrap-up. Cam, it's been great to have you. Great to have you on tonight. I guess it takes a lot of courage to be the first one to do something, and when I asked you to do this tonight, you absolutely, you said to me, not a problem at all. You'd love to do it, so I really appreciate that. I think you've got a really bright future ahead of you, and you've got a great story that you've shared with everyone tonight. So thanks so much for, I guess, giving us your time and for sharing your journey. And I'm sure that if anyone else has a question beyond tonight, you'd be more than happy for them to reach out to you, and you'd be able to help them along the way.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. It's been a pleasure, mate. Thanks for the opportunity. And yeah, as you said, mate, if anyone's got questions, send me a text or whatever it may be. And even if you just want to reach out and say g'day while we're all not seeing each other, I'm happy to pick up the phone and have a chat so we can all catch up. So yeah, thanks again.
I do have one question before we finish.
Yep.
I know we have to wear a face mask outside, but are those things hanging up on your wall behind you? Are those your face masks?
No, mate. They are they're little wooden carvings that the old man's collected from various family trips. They are not face masks, although you probably could rig one up and wear it and scare a few people down at the petrol station.
I reckon you could. But nothing's as scary as Steve Pietek's face, mate. So keep up the great work. Thank you, everybody. For anyone who wants to hang around for a bit of a yarn, I'll take everyone off mute in a sec. But thanks, guys, and thanks, Cam.